Manager meeting to order. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Ansell?
Here.
Mr. Gamlin? Here. Mr. Gibson?
Here.
Mrs. Shutt?
Here.
Mr. Sewell?
Here. Please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item of business will go to the superintendent's report. Mr. Calderon.
Okay. With regards to our cafeteria report, just notice that you have the claims report in from last month. That'll probably be the last big claims month. The other ones will be good, but March tends to be a big one because there's not a lot of school breaks. And so as a result, you tend to see like 22 days of claims in there. They'll be a little bit smaller moving forward for April, and then May will be a little bit smaller yet because we don't really have a full month and we have some days off there. So I also want to turn it over to Mrs. Deere, who will update you on where we are with CEP, which remember stands for Community Eligibility Provisions, and that's about students eating for free. So if you want to go ahead and fill them in on the latest developments, I'd appreciate it.
Every April, we're required to report our direct cert numbers to the state. The direct cert numbers are any kids that are pulled from the state that are on receiving some kind of benefits. I do that every month, and it's just a list of those students. So every April, we compile that list, we look at our numbers, and we submit that to the state. And then we have the option of whether or not we want to apply for CEP for the next school year. Currently, our elementary school Bascom is CEP. Our percentage numbers are actually a little higher than they have been in the past, and we've gotten guidance from the state that the guidelines for qualifying for benefits are going to become a little stricter. So beginning next year, we'll probably see a drop in our numbers because less will qualify when they change the criteria for the benefits for qualifying. So what they have recommended that if they feel that it would be beneficial to the district to go CEP, they're recommending that we do so. So looking at our numbers, and my regional manager, she met with Brad, and then we talked with AJ, with Mr. Calderon, sorry. And it was, with our percentages being what they are, we wouldn't be able to claim all of the meals at the free rate. So how they do it is like a percentage of the meals claimed at a higher rate, and then the rest we claimed at a lower rate. Right now, because Bascom, because so many of the kids at that building qualify, they get to claim all the meals at that higher rate. So if we go for the whole district for overall, there would be some meals that we wouldn't be able to claim at that high rate. It would be claimed at the lower paid rate. But from Mr. Calderon and Brad, we talked about it would be beneficial. They feel that the district moving forward, that even though there might be a little bit of a loss, the district is in a position to cover that, so that would really benefit the families and the students, so that all the meals would be free to the community. And if we have, not the community, but the students within the community. So if we have that, that would really help them out. And then, being able to offset that cost, the district would help, and then we wouldn't have any kids struggling to pay any debt that they might owe because of not being able to, cover those meal costs. So that's kind of what we're looking into for next year, going CEP for the whole district. We're still looking into the finer details of the counts and everything. But.
And the regional manager projected in a cautious budgetary figure of about a $7,000 deficit. And that was assuming same level of meal status as this year, not status, but meal counts. In other words, we serve the same number of meals. Let's say we have a slight drop in population. If those two factors are in place, it actually means that with a lower population, you're serving more meals. Okay, but it was a cautious estimate that it was something that under a free status we could reach. And keep in mind, you see where our balance is in the cafeteria. The other danger is that with a healthy balance, the state might step in, and they did this a few years ago, and said you got to have a spend down plan. And if you recall, when we had a healthier balance previously, we paid for the new kitchen coolers and the new kitchen freezer out of the cafeteria fund, and that was about a $115,000 project, and we paid for it out of that fund. as part of a state's warning that, we needed to find a way to spend that money. And so we're in a similar situation where we know that, and Mrs. Deere brought up this point, how much money, her question to me was, how much money do we transfer every year in student debt? Thousands. There've been years it's been 16 grand. There's been years it's been 8 grand. And we roll that out of the cafeteria fund and we put it on their student accounts. And they have to pay that before they graduate. So the long and short of it is we're already losing money in the cafeteria on a number of students that aren't paying bills. And that very well could be because of financial situations. Being able to go CEP makes a lot of sense because the budget figure, the loss is much smaller this year. Very negligible, something we can afford. And then the other component of that is, I don't know if you said this, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself, you lock it in for 4 years. And if we don't lock it in now, then we're going to be under those new guidelines and probably not qualify at all. So now it looks like it's much more advantageous for us as students and families in the district to be able to participate and expand that program. So when do you have to file? May?
Well, the numbers were due by the 15th, like what we have currently, but you have till June 30th to decide if you want to apply.
Any questions on that? Okay.
Well, I just want, so what you're saying is there's some issues and problems coming up, but you're working out a solution that's going to
Well, not necessarily problems. It's just financially to have those kids that qualify for free, like for Bascom, we're on year 3 out of our 4 years. So next year will be our last year, and then we would have to redo our numbers. And if we have less families that might be qualifying for benefits from the state, we might not meet that threshold to qualify for CEP for another 4 years. So that's why they're suggesting, like, if you think that it would be advantageous for your district, do it now so you're locked in for 4 years, because those guidelines could be changing and less families would qualify, and then we wouldn't have that opportunity to be CEP.
So we need to seize the opportunity.
Exactly.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Do you want to comment on the student council meeting with the LIS?
I mean, I can. I would normally do that in the next months or whenever I go over things.
I'll mention it this time. So we did meet last Thursday with the intermediate student council, and this is part of a routine meeting schedule that Mrs. Deere has with each building, whether it's high school students, middle school. Do you meet with Bascom as well?
We do little things like we did, they do pictures of like draw their favorite meal.
But you don't have the same style.
Yeah, it's a little different to get their feedback.
So it was an opportunity to do, some feedback, ask some questions, get student responses. And I know one of the things that has been brought to our attention a couple times is the perceived lack of food at the intermediate lunch. And it's primarily hits with the 5th grade because the 5th grade is the last group of students to go in. And so one of the answers to the concerns should be there's never a lack of food because there's always a type A lunch. And that's the base lunch the state says you've got to provide. And students generally get one choice in that type A. And so when they come through the line, they can pick, item A or item B in that base lunch. If they don't want the type A lunch, then there's other things they can pick in the line. And so sometimes we have run out of those particular options, but so there's never been an opportunity where we don't have something in the type A lunch category for a kid. It is one of the dangers of having a lot of choices. So school lunches have changed a far cry from that little thin slice of pizza that I had back in the 80s, or the beef stroganoff with the hamburger gravy, or some mac and cheese. So a lot of different choices today. And so one of the things we did talk about was how can we resolve that so it's not always the 5th grade who's at the tail end of that lunch line. So we'll look into that because sometimes some of the items that are left over from the middle school will be brought down as some of those extra choice items that they can choose from. For example, chicken patties are not the norm in the intermediate lunch. That's a sandwich. But when there's 10 of them left over from the middle school lunch, well, we're going to try to put them on the line for the intermediate instead of not selling them that particular day. So, and sometimes there's leftovers like that, and sometimes there's not. So, Mrs. Deere's regional manager, myself, and her, and Mr. Kelly met with the students, got some good feedback, even from kids that don't even eat lunch here, that pack. In terms of what's their sentiment, why they pack, why they don't buy, those sorts of things. So outside of that, one, there are issues when it comes to what those choices are, but no kid goes without food because there's food there. They might not get the choice they want. Now, then the other thing is sometimes we did feel some complaints where, hey, the Bosco sticks are cold, or, I can't remember some of the other
Well,
things.
it was interesting because we're having Feedback Friday, every Friday for the month of April. I have a little suggestion box, and we have different questions each week. And at the YAF meeting, a couple of kids said, yeah, the chicken nuggets are always cold. And I'm like, are they? I found out going through some of the ballots that it's the chicken nuggets in what we call our Lunchable. Well, they're intended to be cold. It's a cold entree. It's kind of like, it's got a little scoop of pudding in it, and it's got like crackers, and the chicken nuggets are kind of like we have a leftover cold slice of pizza. So they're intended to be cold. And I found that out, that's what they were talking about. Well, the nuggets are always cold in the Munchables. They're supposed to be. So I think there was confusion there for the kids in regards to the chicken nuggets being cold. But as far as the Bosco sticks, there's a lot of kids that really enjoy the Bosco sticks. So I did mention to my cooks just for that last group to make sure that, we're retemping them just to make sure that they're where they're supposed to be. But I did solve the chicken nugget mystery.
So that's the benefit of having these meetings that she periodically has, once a semester?
We do it in the fall and in the spring.
Okay, so once a semester, we meet with the student groups, and this timed up perfectly to be able to meet with the students at the LIS where we were hearing some complaints and then get some feedback and see if there's some things that we can address, moving forward. Okay, any questions about the cafeteria? No? Okay, it's in the area of finance. I'll let Mr. Sewell address a topic that really is the core issue of, most of what's going on. I will tell you the property tax settlements just came in, so that's kind of closed out for our collections for the spring. And then recently he attended a tax incentive meeting. So Mr. Sewell, if you will.
Yeah, we had Trumbull County, the commissioners have a tax incentive meeting where they go through anybody that's been issued any type of abatement for anything, putting on additions or hiring new people or whatever. There was one issue particular that came under our jurisdiction for our school and for Braceville Township. So I went to the meeting, and Tom Shea went and represented to Braceville Township. And it was for Venture Plastics. 2017, they applied for abatement because they were putting on a big addition. They said they were going to hire a bunch of people. So they did it, but the report was due at the end of the year, and they had just laid off some people, so they were 8 people short just for last year. They were supposed to have 110, they only had 102 at the time of the filing. So commissioners had to vote whether to do it. Now they have 2 years left on their abatement, and they asked us what we thought. And I said, there's only 2 years left, and I'd learned in March, they'd actually had a hiring event, so they're back up to where they were, but at the time of the report, they did not have enough people. So it had to be brought before council, and they had to vote, so they asked for our opinion in Braceville Township, and we both agreed for only 2 years left, plus it was a temporary thing, and now they're back up to full speed, so we voted, told them to vote, and the commissioners voted to go ahead for the abatement for our district. And they did that. There was a whole list. There was probably 20 or 30 items they had to vote on. There was a lot in Liberty because they're doing a lot of expansion over there. And so you got to hear everything going on. We had a lot for Warren Township too because of Kimberly Clark and all the new stuff going on. In Lordstown, they had some issues. So they bring in everybody that any school district it affects or any township that it affects. So I hadn't been to one of those in probably 20 years, so it was interesting. It's a lot bigger than it used to be. Because there's a lot going on, a lot of additions and new stuff. So it did pass. So we don't have anything
we didn't have anything else in our district, but I just wanted to bring you up to speed on that.
Okay. In the areas of facility and transportation, the band shell is complete. And tomorrow I meet with Brock Builders and BSHM Architects for a punch list review, and we'll have a discussion, about the panels, because those panels are actually made by a very reputable company called DMI Metals, or DMI Incorporated, I believe. They are the actual company that has the metal, sheet metal that's on the roof of this facility. And they, we're going to have to explore why that is. I don't believe it is an assembly process, because they started on, as I told the architect, they started on the far side. And as you wrap around that facility and you come this direction towards the complex, if you look at it closely, you'll see that some of those depressions are towards this southeast corner, and then they carry around to the south side, or the east side, if you will. So, that looks to me like it could have been a deformity in the run of the metal that got stacked at that point. So
When did those appear?
I've gone back and, I took construction photos along the way, and I shared with the architect that those were present in November. So that's not a new phenomenon. Yeah. And I shared with him the photos to show that. So, but they're really pronounced. When you see the sun on it, that's when you really notice it out there. So that it is officially complete, and of course I know everybody saw, hopefully today, Mrs. Shutt's email with regards to the irrigation and things of that nature, and I did respond to that. If you got any questions on it, we'll be sure to talk about it. The van is expected to be delivered in the next 2 weeks. It apparently is in the region, and I'm sure it's got to go through its final shipping phase and inspection. And then once we get it, we'll have UC Graphics put our name on it, because we got to have, we got a school transportation sign that we bought. It's magnetized, it'll be on top, and then you have to put the school district name on each side, and then we're going to have the name on the back of it, as well as a magnetic sign that says, that this vehicle stops at all railroad crossings, because it operates just like a school bus, if you will. But as soon as we can get that operational, then we'll get it licensed, insured, and ready for use. And then, as I indicated to you in a memo regarding the Bascom Playground, we just got our pricing quote, and I dropped that pricing quote in the folder for you today. We got it Friday. He updated the pricing quote. And so in essence, when we had the playground meeting, probably 10 days ago at Bascom with the teachers and Mrs. Kowach and some parents, the discussion really started focusing on, if we're going to try to do it all, we're not going to be able to make this happen. So we need to focus in on what we really can make happen. So the discussion, as we realized that first grade and kindergarten never really conflict recess, became, can we combine one playground and have it be a first grade and kindergarten playground? And they can both use it. It's the design of the first grade playground, from the type of equipment that was selected, is age appropriate for both grade levels. So, first grade, kindergarten, there's not much difference there between the two. So there's no issues in changing any equipment. It's just a matter of when would it be used, and can we logistically manage when kindergarten is at recess, not conflicting with first grade? Well, we already do. So the discussion was, can we look at doing first and second grade? Don't do anything with the current kindergarten playground, because we can leave it there as a backup. In the event that some teacher for 15 minutes wants to get kids out at the end of the day, thinks they need to burn off some energy, hey, use it until we can't repair it anymore, until we rip it out. So we have a parent that is willing to donate $100,000, and we already have $63,000 in our Bascom Playground Fund that we created last year. That's the 070 fund. In addition, we also know that after the band shell's done, in our facility fund, we have roughly $100,000. So you start doing the math and you realize with the new price quote of $278,000, counting the parents' donation, we're right there. We're not very far off. And we have an opportunity to do something, special for kids. I met with that parent following that meeting privately and said, look, if you're serious, then I will go to the board and it'll be my recommendation that we move forward. And if they want to move forward and the consensus is let's pursue it, then I go back to that parent and say, you get us a check, we deposit it, when the money's there, we're moving. And then we come back to you next month with that contract from Playcore, and we approve that contract for purchasing that equipment. We are saving money from the previous quotes comparatively on the shipping, but I will tell you, this will be the cheapest we get this equipment, because you know it's only going to go up. So considering that we practically have all the money, if this parent would donate, that if we get the donation, I think it's in our best interest to do something great for kids down there to pursue this project. The quote that you will see in your board folder is a quote from Omnia Partners, one of the big purchasing consortiums that's out there. We belong to them. We've been a member of Omnia since 2013. And, you know, the bottom line is that we can, you know, move fast with that purchasing consortium pricing already in place. One of the other big discounts we have in that quote is by attending a one-day training on child play and recreation and the physiological, biological responses to children when they have recreation time during the school day and impact the learning. That qualifies us for what's called the OPRA grant, which is nothing more than a discounted price. And so in partnership with the Ohio Parks and Recreations Association, when Mrs. Kowach and Mrs. Sophia D'Alessio attended that, they now make a LaBrae qualify for that additional discount. So you'll see both discounts in there. You'll see discounted consortium pricing and the OPRA grant in the title. And that quote, as I said, with install, turnkey operation is $278,000. And then we also have parents that will do all of we have an excavator company in the community that is offered to do all of the excavating and removal for free. I have met with that parent and I told them that we would really not want to do that for free, that we need to come up with a nominal figure. I don't care if we've got to cover gasoline and some labor for some of the workers, because my concern is a liability issue. And when you have volunteerism going on, I would want us to have some nominal small amount that we could agree on and say, we'll pay you this, whether it's, you know, $1,000, for example, to demolish these two playgrounds. Then their liability insurance is kicked in, ours is kicked in. We've got a full vendor contract, and it's kind of a cover yourself type of situation to have that, you know, arrangement. So just want to share that with you, and I would want some feedback on whether you want me to follow up with that parent and have that conversation about securing that funding and moving forward. Also, you know, switching gears and talking about students, just one general thing. I had the opportunity to be at the drama club presentation on Friday, and generally the opening night is the bigger of the two crowds. I'm not sure what the crowd looked like Saturday, but I'm sure it was pretty decent. It was a great crowd on Friday night. The kids looked like they had a blast, and I know Mrs. Stillwell and her students really enjoyed the event. So kudos to them. And under her leadership, they did an excellent job. It was quite an entertaining rendition of Clue, which, if I'm not mistaken, is set in the McCarthy era of U.S. history with its storylines, if you're talking the 1950s. But just great murder mystery there. And then, last but not least, we're going to want to acknowledge some of our staff members who have retired from LaBrae. We have them here in attendance tonight. Want to make sure that we acknowledge them and publicly thank them for their service. So Mr. Sue will have a retirement award, and all the board members with each one of them will come up here and get a photo. The first one will be Cheryl Anderson. Cheryl retired in January 1st, in fact. Cheryl started off as a bus driver 19 years ago. Probably did that for about 7 or 8 years before she became a custodian, and then served as a custodian at the middle school and also at the intermediate, where she ended her tenure in December. So we want to acknowledge her service to kids, and we thank her for her 19 years of service to LaBrae Vikings. So thank you, Cheryl, if you'll come up. Come on over here, let's get everybody, we'll get one photo. Thank you very much.
Oh, you guys? Yeah.
Did Terry make it tonight? Okay, congratulations. So, yes, you know. All right. So our next individual is Debbie Lynch. Debbie is an individual that started with us 29 years ago. Started off as a bus driver, did that for about 4 years, and then became a custodian, I think, in 2001. And then was a custodian at the middle school, and then probably, how long you been the head custodian? 6, 7 years. So, and then eventually became the head custodian at the complex when she had a chance. She was on afternoon terms forever, and then got to the middle school or the high school head custodian complex, and really is just, you never stop running when you're the head custodian during the course of the day, because every time the phone rings or an email hits your desk, somebody needs something. And so Debbie did an admirable job for us for 29 years of service. And I know that, you know, she's enjoying her retirement just as much as Cheryl. We want to thank her for her service to kids. So thank you very much, Debbie. Sorry.
Okay.
No, Terry's not. I'm good.
Okay.
And then the last person who was not able to make it, I'll just make mention of them, Terry Burrell, was a bus driver for us, is finishing her 10th year this year. And Terry just came to us as a second career, if you will, and spent a lot of good years with us as a driver and did all sorts of things for kids when it came to taking tons of trips, because it's hard to do the transportation in the afternoon, especially since COVID. And so someone like Terry has just been tremendous in taking all kinds of trips and always being there to get kids to the events that, you know, they care dearly about in the evening hours. So hopefully I'll reach out to Terry and see if we can get her in here officially. Maybe something came up. But we'll turn it over to Mr. Sewell and we'll start to recognize our students who are in attendance tonight.
Okay, tonight we have one special certificate of excellence. This is for a student who participated in the Trumbull County Challenge 24 and actually ended up winning the 7th and 8th grade division. We're proud to be there because there was a lot of kids there from every school in Trumbull County. And our students did very well, but Johnny ended up winning it all. So we're pleased to present him with the 8th grade award for the Trumbull County Challenge 24 division winner.
Athletics, oh my goodness.
Okay, at this time, we'll turn it over to our speech and debate team with us tonight. We have our speech head coach, that's Mr. Steve DeMuzio, and we also have our assistant coach, that's Mr. David Michael. And we want to make sure that we honor the students who have qualified for the state competition. But we had an opportunity where Mr. DeMuzio said that they could come and even maybe do a little microcosm performance of what it is that they did to qualify for state. So I'll turn the floor over to you guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Briefly, then Mr. Michael will introduce congressional debate, but we'd like to thank you, Mr. Calderon, and the board for having a team this year. It was our first year. It's been a rewarding experience. We competed in 14 different tournaments, and it's mostly the kids with their hard work. We coached them, and Mrs. Bustard also was a volunteer coach who was board approved this year. Our competitions are generally mostly Saturdays in the 14, so they're giving up Saturdays, or a couple of them were evenings. It's not a spectator sport, so even some of their parents have not seen them in full action before. So they usually average the different judges' scores, and that's how they determine the tournament finalists. So right now, our congressional team is going to go first, and Bryce and Landon, thanks for coming out to help out Robert a little bit. Robert also was a state semifinalist in congressional debate this year.
So I will say really quickly before they get started, the three gentlemen on the left are part of congressional debate, which is generally 10 to 15 people per room. Obviously, for the sake of time, we kind of slimmed it down. This is something where it's a little bit back and forth banter between people. So we're going to start off with Bryce Hayden. He is what we call as our presiding officer, PO. He's going to introduce a bill that they actually wrote for this. They wrote a kind of mock bill for you. And then we're going to alternate back and forth between a speaker questioning real quick. And then from there, we'll kind of turn over to, we have in the standard, a little bit of thematic interpretation, and then original oratory, which is where they either are reenacting a scene or they're doing something they've written themselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we will be voting on Bill 4-13, the Banjo Act. The Banjo Act stands for Ban All Non-Justifiable Occupancies. It requires all properties owned by companies or organizations to be purchased by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. It allocates $100 billion annually to fund appraisals and the acquisition of these properties. With appraisals instructed to estimate homes at their lowest value. Companies must accept these payments on these appraisals and distribute the funds evenly among their employees. The Department of Housing and Urban Development will then resell these homes to U.S. citizens at 75% of the appraised value. Seeing as starting a new speech, we would like to find any speakers in the affirmation. Any such speakers, please. Representative Stevens.
Hello, my name is Representative Stevens. This is my first time speaking today, first time legislative session. I'm looking in the side like most above me. Monopolies are inherently non-American. They prevent the American dream and they ensure that people don't rise up in the ranks. What we have set up before us today is a bill that attempts to prevent the monopolies over a basic necessity of life, housing. The Lincoln Institute says that 1 out of 11 homes in America are owned by companies. These homes equate to what seems like a small minority, but equate to a large influence on the market. They are to control who is able to buy a home and for what price. This is ensuring that people who should be buying homes are not able to afford them. They cannot spend the exorbitant of money that are required for a home, and this bill intends to fix that. And the Scotsman's Guide says that 62% of Gen Z has given up on ever purchasing a home. It also says that if given the opportunity, they would purchase a home with serious structural damage. This includes asbestos and termites, which are detrimental to them and their potential families. This is something we can't stand for as a country, because inevitably it will lead to worse homes, and it will lead to exorbitant prices for homes that simply aren't worth it. We are pricing our constituents out of existence, and that isn't okay. This bill, this bill helps lower the prices of houses and ensures they are beholden to democratic institutions and regulations to make sure that our constituents are able to control their houses, and they are able to make sure that their homes are affordable. They are able to use their right to vote to ensure that they get their wants over the market. It is not the right of the few to control the market, it is now theirs, and that is something that we can't take for granted. We as a country value independence, and we value individual determination. Monopolies against a critical institution of life go directly against that. We as a country need to dream better. We need to forge ourselves a better path, and we need to bring freedom home. Thank you.
Thank you. A speech of 1 minute and 46 seconds. We will now be opening a questioning block. Any such questions, please rise now. Representative Wither.
I think this bill would violate the People's Fifth Amendment, the right to own private property.
Well, in the Fifth Amendment, it specifically states that the government has rights to eminent domain. If this is for the benefit of the people who are paying a fair price for the properties, then I don't see why it'd be violating the Fifth Amendment.
Thank you.
There are 15 seconds left on the question block. The chair will absorb this time. Representative, you may now take your seat.
Okay.
The chair thanks you. Seeing as that was the first speech in the affirmation, we will now seek a first speech in the negation. And so speakers, please rise now. Representative Wither.
Ladies and gentlemen, today is in negation of the Banco Act. At its core, this proposal is not just flawed, it is dangerous. It grants the federal government sweeping authority to seize privately owned residential properties simply because they are vacant. That is not reform, that is not fairness, that is a direct challenge to one of the most fundamental principles our nation was built upon, the right to own and control private property. Under this act, companies would be forced to sell their assets at artificially low government-determined prices, not market value, government value. That alone undermines the very foundation of a free market economy. But it doesn't stop there. This bill goes even further, dictating how companies must distribute their earnings and threatening punishment if they make ordinary business decisions like restructuring or layoffs. We must ask ourselves, what message does this send? It tells businesses that success will be penalized. It tells property owners that ownership is conditional. It tells every American that the government may decide at any time what is yours and what is not yours. That is not how we solve the housing crisis. Yes, housing affordability is a real and urgent issue. Yes, vacant homes in some areas are concerned. But pressuring the owners is not the answer, and confiscation is not the answer. Undermining economic stability is not the answer. That is why I stand in negation of the Banjo Act and the passage of property rights in the housing market.
Thank you. That was a speech of 1 minute and 19 seconds. The chair now opens a question block. Representative Stevens.
Representative, you had a lovely speech, but on this, based off the way that you brought forward your points, does that mean that you are valuing the company's rights over your constituents' rights?
The companies could potentially go bankrupt from selling these houses, correct?
Yes, of course, but that doesn't really necessarily matter for making them bankrupt, because the whole goal is to make sure that our citizens are living happier, healthier lives. If these companies that are dictating their lives in negative ways are going bankrupt, why is that a negative?
Companies are going bankrupt, and these people are also losing their jobs, which end up making our economy worse.
But they're going to get paid for the someone sold, and who's to say that they can't buy
Thank you,
it?
Representative.
So that was just a short snippet, because generally there's a 3-minute speech, and each person can present multiple speeches on different legislation throughout the day. And there's questioning blocks in between, so thank you guys. And thank you again for you two to come out and help Robert a little bit to display Congress.
Hello, I'm in the dramatic interpretation category of speech, which means I've given a speech that has already been written, and I have to perform it. The speech that I did was about a mental patient who believes that he's Edgar Allan Poe reincarnated. That's largely unimportant to the passage I'm going to present currently. That's just what the story is from. He is saving a little girl from a burning building, and I'm going to take it from he's on the roof, trying to calm her down, telling her they have to jump off onto a trampoline below. I told her it was okay and that they would catch us, but she wasn't listening to me. She was crying, backing away into the fire, so I grabbed her and I held her, but she was squirming and kicking me and scratching me and biting me right where I've been burned, and it hurt, it stung, and I yelled, but I wasn't angry with her. I wasn't angry. Scared. I was scared that she wouldn't jump on her own. I was scared that I was going to. I leaned over the edge and looked down. I could barely make out the silhouette of the trampoline through the smoke. The girl wouldn't look at me, and why would she? To her, I was a crazy man about to throw her off. So I did. She was just squirming so much, and it was so dark and smoky, and I couldn't see her land, but I heard it. I heard the sound of her little head hitting the pavement. I was still holding her stuffed bear. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brooke Pasky. Similar to Liam, I am also in the dramatic interpretation section of speech, so that means I do perform a scene or snippet of a book that had already been written. In my case, my speech is about a girl. She's about 15, and her sister had just committed suicide. And for this portion, I will be performing the very beginning of my speech, really up until about the filler bit, which is when I would portray the title. My sister Lizzie died today. Well, I mean, what a weird thing to say. You know, I mean, it almost sounds like the beginning of a poem your teacher would read you in English class or something. But my sister Lizzie died today. I mean, it's not like we didn't expect it. She's been missing for months, and even before that, she was always in and out, so Mom and I were always just like, Lizzie's gone. Now, it's not like we said it to each other on a daily basis or anything, or actually even said it at all. It was always kind of just there, you know, hanging in the air. Lizzie's gone, ... Maybe that's what's so different about it. I mean, now it's a kind of sentence with a period on the end of it. Lizzie's gone, period. It's funny, you know, I didn't even cry at all today. And I mean, I felt really bad because obviously you're supposed to cry when people die. But honest to God, all I could think about was that if I were going to jump off of a bridge like she did, I wouldn't do it in the middle of July. I would do it in November, on one of those rainy days where it never really stops drizzling. The bridge would be just a little bit slippery, and people would have to wonder, did she do it on purpose, or was the handrail just too slick? There's gonna be a funeral. I mean, who are we gonna invite? I mean, Mom and I don't know who Lizzie's friends are. She stopped telling us things like that a while ago. And I mean, Mom pressed her for it, and they would fight, you know, screaming maybe now she's gone for good. It's like we can really solve it back, you know? God, I mean, it sounds like I'm glad my own sister is dead. Thank you.
Hello, I am Daisy Peace. I'm in a different category than the other two speech members. I'm in original oratory, which means I write the speech myself on a topic that I think is a problem in the world that we can do a little bit better at fixing. My speech is on nostalgia and how dangerous it can be. I'm going to present it from a middle portion. In the beginning portion, I kind of just introduce nostalgia and what it is, how it was originally viewed as a disease, and so forth. So this is taking it from there. Taking this into account, I believe nostalgia today may be more dangerous than it presents. While on the surface, it can show itself as its warmth like no other, a reminder of the beginning. A beginning where the cartoons felt realer, the world was more colorful, and our imaginations left us speechless. But nostalgia, it tells you what you want to hear. It forces you under the belief that the past was a simpler time. But when we view our experiences through this lens, have our minds on the good old days, we close off the possibility of us actually living in them. We confine ourselves to these places, these feelings that we physically left, to convince ourselves we are the people who we were in them. But what makes these versions any better than we are now? What? You aren't as naive as you were at 7. You no longer crush on the guys and girls that thought not caring about you was cool. That's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to recognize that the past was like the present, just as, if not more, flawed. The time will change with or without. Nostalgia romanticizes the past by ignoring what defined it, not giving a glance to the nights you begged your parents to understand you, or the time it took to realize why they hadn't. Nostalgia introduces a destructive demand for comparison, often measuring the incorrect or fantasized perception of something to what it is now. This can become particularly dangerous when applied to someone not worthy of being looked up to, putting someone or something on a pedestal because it's familiar, rather than because it's proved to be a good example. This can become especially dangerous when applied to someone where things turn bad. This can be seen through the passing of bad or harmful tendencies across generations. The feeling of nostalgia may be having a direct tie to continuing the cycle. This highlights the significance of learning to be your own person and constructing a framework of beliefs in which you believe in, rather than assuming the ones placed in front of you blindly.
We have some certificates for some of the debates and the speech team that they were state tournament qualifiers. So I want to present them at this time. When I give you a certificate, we'll go over there and give you a picture. First, I have 12th grade Liam Feist. 9th grade Brennan. 10th grade David Peace. 10th grade Marty Buster. We'll give it to him. And 10th grade Robert Snout. 11th
Yeah. Mr. DeMuzio, do we have any idea when you'll find out if we have members qualify for nationals?
We had our national qualifying, so our goal is within the next 3 years. So we do not have any this year, but we
Okay.
also have exciting news that the students do not know. As a team, they've earned enough points that our school has earned charter status and will receive a plaque within a couple weeks.
Good.
So-
Awesome. Congratulations.
You have anything else?
That's all I've got, unless you have questions about what was
Any
presented.
questions or anything, Mr. Caldwell?
Nope.
Okay, we'll go to concerns of the board. Bradley?
No, I don't have any.
Julia?
Yes, I meant to address, at our last meeting, to bring up the idea which we talked about the previous month, which was basically coming up with some verbiage to make an insertion as a new sentence into our policy bylaws regarding the board nomination process. Mr. Calderon suggested that we use the following verbiage, which I like, and that says, following the closing of the nomination process for an officer position, that would be president or vice president, the board shall conduct discussion on the nomination prior to the roll call vote. If we insert this, which I do believe we should, it would be the remedy for me. And that would be, I'd want to hear if there are, nominations, whether there be 2 or 4 or 6 or whatever. We get to hear from the persons nominated and get to ask questions and so forth. I think that would be, promote some healthy discussion of ideas. And Mr. Calderon suggested that by bringing this up, we could just decide as a board to insert that versus bringing it to a vote. Is that
It's
what
on,
you're feeling?
it's in our packet.
Well, I think you actually have to formally vote on it because it's
Yeah.
board bylaw
Okay.
It's
152.
in there now. He put it in, inserted it just like you suggested.
That edit is on that list of policies for
Yeah.
this evening that
Okay.
we would vote on
Okay.
for the first
Our
reading.
packet, so we
Yep.
have to vote on it though tonight.
Okay,
As stated, that's how it looks.
so at the voting, we'll talk about it if there's.
Yeah, if you want to have further conversation, yeah,
Great.
on the discussion part, but it's in there on that list.
Yeah, and then the only other thing was that I did send out a little, sort of selection of photographs that I took during while a rainstorm kind of was coming to an end. I was at the band shell. And just looking at the water situation now, I know you said that you've decided that you're not going to do anything about the drainage situation.
No, we are going to do something about it.
Pardon me?
We are doing something.
But not right now.
Mhm.
In other words, we're not looking at anymore, or we don't have estimates from outside companies to look
I
at.
do
the
not
road.
have other estimates from outside companies. The only estimate I had is the change order that I had sent to you in reply to my email.
And my question was that, we built the shell on an old foundation, right?
No,
It looks like there's 2 different kinds of cement.
There are, and the
Yeah.
new cement. So one of the things is outside the existing cement pad, they excavated and poured a new footer. They also put forms, and I don't know, 3-4 feet down, for the vertical beams,
Mhm.
the stanchions.
Mhm.
And all of that is on new foundation. And I
And
can
then
actually.
the other, but the other is old foundation from just wind?
Yeah, the old cement that you see when you talk about two.
Yeah, there's
That's the
two-
old cement
two-
pad that the stands sit on.
Okay,
That is not part of the actual foundation for the actual band structure, just
Got
the
it.
stands. And I can send you some photos, because again, I took construction photos along the way. And I can send you some photos that actually will show you those trenches and those moorings. The other thing that happens with the architect and the builders is we have a third-party company that we paid to come out and stress test those as they were poured. So they actually have third-party testing to show that it meets the engineering standards as designed for that load. All of that was done by an engineering firm in terms of coming up with that load. And then that company, I think, was out of Cleveland. And we have those reports as well.
so the water problem's not really new in terms of, I could see the grade of the existing cement, where the bleachers stands are, is at the same level, elevation level as the lawn. And so in front of the bleachers, it was soupy wet and rolling in. In other words, rolling into the newly covered area from the front, not the back where all the water's pouring off
Yeah.
the roof. Yeah, and down into the gutters. So that was, I'm just wondering, because being as a landscape designer, that's the kind of thing we fix and look at all the time with new structures, old structures. Is that addressing that water rolling into the thing part of what we want to fix?
It doesn't, not the particular drainage. It doesn't, I don't think it would hurt if we wanted to add that, but I could say in 15 years, I don't think, we've had any accumulation of water there. One of the reasons we have that now is because they rutted it up with the crane that they used. But when I have the architect out tomorrow, I mean, that could be a conversation. I don't know, I haven't looked closely enough at that cement to see. I would think if we had a problem there over the course of, what are we in, 20 years now, 21 years, that the freezing and thawing throughout the course of the 2 decades, we might have some cement issues there, but I don't know if we do or not, to be honest with you. But if we felt like we needed to put drainage there, while we were doing the drainage, it wouldn't hurt to run a line in front and then connect it to the run that goes to the sideline.
Yeah, we can talk about this later. But anyway,
Yeah.
I could just see things that would be simple fixes, not expensive fixes.
Yeah.
That could address that, because that's
That's just
part of the
another
issue too.
50-foot pipe, that's not.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, anyway, okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. Gibson?
I'd just like to thank the team that came tonight. It was very inspirational there to see the emotion and the dedication they put into that. And that's the first time I've seen a group from LaBrae doing anything like that. The interpretation of it, and it was impressive. And congratulations to you.
Thanks. For a small school, it's an amazing opportunity, especially for the kids.
Same thing, Steve, great job. Talented kids to go so far on their maiden voyage. I mean, that's phenomenal for the kids, and I'm glad that you were there to tap into that, that talent there, because it sometimes gets lost in the smaller schools. And Debbie and Cheryl, thank you. You'll both be missed.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
You'll both be
retirees.
missed.
We've enjoyed it. We've enjoyed being here.
Did a great job. We're gonna miss you.
Both of you.
Thank you
Yep.
very much.
Many bus trips, many kids in the band, and many.
Steve,
Well missed.
for your first year doing that, that's awesome. You guys actually got people qualified. And like you said, for a small school, our first time out, that was awesome. They did their stuff very well. And the drama club, I did go Friday and Saturday. Of course, I had 2 grandkids in there. It was unbelievable. That's probably one of the best ones I've seen in 20 years. One of the best plays. And they did ad-lib Friday's inning and Saturday's innings were different.
That was fun.
They kind of changed things up, so even surprised Mrs. Stillwell, so it was a lot of fun. The kids enjoyed it too. Appreciate that. Okay, now we'll move into public participation. If you have anything you want to speak out, please stand, be recognized, give your name and address, and we'll start over here.
I would like to, Cynthia Bustard, 1501 Bracewell Robinson Road in Southington. And I would like to thank Mr. DeMuzio and Mr. Michael on behalf of the speech and debate team. This was definitely something that, I'm really glad that he stepped up to be the head coach so that we could have a team and these kids, just seeing their transformation. I'm not going to name any names, but some of the kids were so timid and shy when they started, and to see them go this far has been just so rewarding. So just looking forward to the team growing, and thank you for your support. And I'm just looking forward to great things in the future and having a long history here at LaBrae, I hope. So just thank you. And I do want to also thank Mr. Bailey and Mrs. Sabo and Mrs. Shanauer for, my son was one of the Challenge 24 folks, but he absolutely loved competing in that. And those teachers are so dedicated. They took those kids very far. And as Mr. Sewell stated, we had a great showing at LaBrae at this event. I mean, it's just impressive. We almost sweep the whole thing. So it's just amazing what our kids can do, not just in all these academic endeavors. We are small but mighty, so I just want to just say how proud I am of our kids. So
thank you. Anybody on that side? Okay, we'll move back into the regular agenda items, and I'll turn it back over to Mr. Calderon.
Okay, first item is a recommendation that you guys approve the minutes from the board's meeting on February 25th, 2026, which is a special board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Ansell, second by Mrs. Shutt. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Ansell?
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mr. Gammon?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mr. Sewell?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation that the board approve the minutes from the March 9th, 2026 regular board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Ansell, second by Mrs. Shutt. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Ansell?
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mr. Gammon?
Yes.
Mr. Sewell?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation the board approve the March financial report as presented by the treasurer.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Gibson, second by Mrs. Ansell. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mrs. Ansell?
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mr. Gammon?
Yes.
Mr. Sewell?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation the Board of Education approve the fiscal year 2027 foundations contract with the Trumbull ESC for our excess costs and special ed in the amount of $1.5 million. So it's $1,550,000 as the foundation contract.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Ansell, second by Mr. Gibson. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Ansell?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mr. Gammon?
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mr. Sewell?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation the Board of Education approve a shared services supplemental contract for participation in the Career Navigator Program with the Trumbull ESC for fiscal years 27 and 28 at an estimated cost of $11,985.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Ansell, second by Mrs. Shutt. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Ansell?
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mr. Gammon?
Yes.
Mr. Sewell?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation the board approve the following change order from Brock Builders for the band shell project. And you can see that summarizes the original contract, change orders to date, the adjusted price, and then the new change order to adjust the ingress and egress of the band shell handrail for $548, bringing the total price tag to $293,603.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Ansell, second by Mr. Gibson. Any discussion?
Yes. What was that? Can you explain what's
Well, if
changing?
you were at the band shell would have noticed it's already been fixed because I gave them the approval to change this. We had to cut the handrail that stuck out and did not give a lot of room for kids with instruments to get up into those stairs. So the ingress and egress in and out of those stairs into the band shell, we needed to create some room. So we had to cut that and then repipe it, cap it off.
And that was the original bleacher or?
The original bleachers, yeah.
Yeah.
Which tomorrow I gotta address with them. They didn't fix one of the issues that I told them they bent. So they had to get somebody back out of it, because if you would have seen the top rail crossed, it was bent because I think they hit it with a crane or something, fell down and kinked the pipe for us, so they still have to fix that. But we haven't paid the final payment yet, so we still have that leverage.
Any other? All right, Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Ansel,
Yes.
Mr. Gibson,
Yes.
Mr. Gamlin.
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt,
No.
Mr. Sewell.
Yes, motion carries 4 yeas, 1 no.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation that the Board of Education approve the creation of a general scholarship fund and designate 007-9250 as the assigned fund number.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Ansell, second by Mr. Gibson. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Ansel,
Yes.
Mr. Gibson,
Yes.
Mr. Gamlin.
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt,
Yes.
Mr. Sewell.
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation of Board approve Dawson Moiseo for senior rights status for the remainder of the 25-26 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gamlin, second by Mrs. Ansell. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Gamlin.
Yes.
Mrs. Ansel,
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt,
Yes.
Mr. Gibson,
Yes.
Mr. Sewell.
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item is a recommendation of Board approve the adoption of the following job descriptions effective immediately. We have one new classified job description for an instructional aide, and you can see we're going to have a revised athletic job description for the administrative athletic event manager position.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Shutt, second by Mrs. Ansell. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Shutt,
Yes.
Mrs. Ansel,
Yes.
Mr. Gamlin.
Yes.
Mr. Gibson,
Yes.
Mr. Sewell.
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation of Board accept the resignation of April Martin Knock, classified employee from the position of bus driver, effective March 27, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Shutt, second by Mrs. Ansell. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Shutt,
Yes.
Mrs. Ansel,
Yes.
Mr. Gamlin.
Yes.
Mr. Gibson,
Yes.
Mr. Sewell.
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation the Board accept the resignation of Matthew Bartholomew, classified employee from the position of custodian, effective April 16th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Ansell, second by Mr. Gibson. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Ansel,
Yes.
Mr. Gibson,
Yes.
Mr. Gamlin,
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt,
Yes.
Mr. Sewell.
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation that the Board of Education approve the voluntary transfer of Joan Hott, classified employee to intermediate afternoon custodian, effective March 6th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Shutt, second by Mr. Gamlin. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Shutt,
Yes.
Mr. Gamlin.
Yes.
Mr. Gibson,
Yes.
Mrs. Ansel,
Yes.
Mr. Sewell.
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation the Board approve the employment of Thomas Long, classified employee as a daytime complex custodian on a one-year limited contract subsequent to the completion of required background checks and drug screenings. And that would be effective March 30th, 2026 through June 30th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Shutt, second by Mrs. Ansell. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Shutt,
Yes.
Mrs. Ansel,
Yes.
Mr. Gibson,
Yes.
Mr. Gamlin,
Yes.
Mr. Sewell.
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item is a recommendation the Board approve the employment of Scott Schaefer, classified employee, as a afternoon complex custodian. So I think that got copied over without the edit on it. So it should say afternoon complex custodian. You have that? Right. On a one-year limited contract subsequent to the completion of background checks and successful drug screening, and that would be effective April 6th through June 30th of 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Ansell, second by Mr. Gibson. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Ansel,
Yes.
Mr. Gibson,
Yes.
Mr. Gamlin?
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mr. Soul?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item is a recommendation the board approve the employment of Tiffany Steele, classified employee as the Bascom Elementary Title I instructional aide, effective with the 26-27 school year.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Mrs. Shutt, second by Mr. Gamblin. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mr. Gamlin?
Yes.
Mrs. Ansel?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mr. Soul?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation that the board approve the employment of James Starkey, classified substitute as a substitute driver. Be compensated at 19 per hour for routes and field and athletic trips, effective March 12, 2026.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Gamblin, second by Mrs. Ansel. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Gamlin?
Yes.
Mrs. Ansel?
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mr. Soul?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation the board approve the following individual as a classified substitute. And that would be Rebecca Bearfield as a substitute cook, and also hire her as a substitute custodian. That would be effective March 25th, 2026.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Mrs. Shutt, second by Mr. Gamblin. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mr. Gamlin?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mrs. Ansel?
Yes.
Mr. Soul?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item is a recommendation the board approve an unpaid leave of absence for Tanya Cemento, certified staff member for the entirety of the 26-27 school year in accordance with Article 12, Section G of the negotiated agreement with the LaBrae Teachers Association.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Mrs. Shutt, second by Mrs. Ansel. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mrs. Ansel?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mr. Gamlin?
Yes.
Mr. Soul?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation the board approve the following individuals and the corresponding amounts for their one-year administrative supplemental contracts for the 26-27 school year.
Hey, skip one.
Yeah.
Did I, which one?
The
Oh, FMLA, sorry. Okay, back up. Recommendation that the board approve the FMLA leave for Aaron Fee, certified staff member, effective March 4th through June 1st of 2026. My apologies.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Gibson, second by Mr. Gamblin. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mr. Gamlin?
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mrs. Ansel?
Yes.
Mr. Soul?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
And now, recommendation for the board to approve the following individuals for their one-year administrative supplemental contracts for the 26-27 school year. You see the fall event managers and the one winter event manager. Those are our initial hires. We'll have a few more coming back to you next month.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Mrs. Shutt, second by Mrs. Ansel. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mrs. Ansel?
Yes.
Mr. Gamlin?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mr. Soul?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation that the board approve the following individuals who are being recommended for academic supplemental contracts for the 26-27 school year. You see the list before you. Again, this is not complete. We'll have more for you at the May meeting as well.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Mrs. Shutt, second by Mrs. Ansel. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mrs. Ansel?
Yes.
Mr. Gamlin?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mr. Soul?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation that the Board of Education approve the following head coaching supplemental positions for the 26-27 school year. You can see the list before you: cheerleading, golf, volleyball, basketball, and our varsity marching band director.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Mrs. Ansel, second by Mr. Gamblin. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Ansel?
Yes.
Mr. Gamlin?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mr. Soul?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation the board approve the following athletic supplementals, which will become effective for next school year. Of course, all these individuals, well, a few of them are for this school year, I apologize, as some volunteers, but then the remainder are for next year. And of course, they have to meet Ohio Revised Code to coach or lead a pupil activity. So we need your approval for those.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Ansell, second by Mrs. Shutt. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Ansell,
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt,
Yes.
Mr. Gibson,
Yes.
Mr. Gammon,
Yes.
Mr. Sewell.
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation that the Board of Education acknowledge and accept the following donations. And that would be for Pat Benitez for her husband's scholarship, the memorial scholarship for Harry Benitez. For those of you that don't know, Harry used to be an administrator at LaBrae. And then for Greg Barnhart's monthly donation to our lead.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Shutt, second by Mr. Gammon. Any discussion? We appreciate any donation to the school for our students. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Shutt,
Yes.
Mr. Gammon,
Yes.
Mrs. Ansell,
Yes.
Mr. Gibson,
Yes.
Mr. Sewell.
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation for the board to approve the following use of facility requests. So you see a couple there for the band boosters for next school year.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Mrs. Shutt, second by Mrs. Ansell. Any discussion?
Do we need a block up over there? We bill for the end?
Potentially.
Okay.
Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Shutt,
Yes.
Mrs. Ansell,
Yes.
Mr. Gammon,
Yes.
Mr. Gibson,
Yes.
Mr. Sewell.
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
The next item on the agenda is a recommendation the board approve the first reading of the following board policy and bylaw rescissions, additions, and revisions. You see them organized as such there.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Gibson, second by Mrs. Ansell. Any discussion?
Okay, so the one thing I do want to, I don't know if you've had a chance to look through these thoroughly or not, but you see there's a theme. And of course, one, I will tell you that the bylaw policy that Mrs. Shutt brought up is bylaw 0152 officers. But then you'll also see there's a theme when it comes to job-related expenses and also use of credit cards, and then also affinity rewards and other discount programs. So one of the things that has traditionally been unethical is for someone to use their own personal credit card for an item, which would garner rewards on their credit card, and then seek reimbursement by the school district. So we generally have a school account with Walmart, we have a credit card. We also have a credit card with Sam's Club. Plus we have our gas cards, but no one uses those for anything other than going to the BP station and filling up our buses. So, and those are in a different system. So, and we actually, as a school district, get rewards from Sam's, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, every year we get $150 or whatever from Sam's, because that comes directly to us. And we really try to tell people, don't use your own credit card to pay for stuff. And then, now, do I think that happens? Probably. And what the auditor's office has finally determined is that, look, on a nominal level, frequent flyer rewards on your credit card, or the giant Eagle Advantage points that someone might use for something are really inconsequential, and we're not going to get that minute in the details, and we're going to permit that. So when you see some of those policies on job-related expenses and affinity rewards, that's where the auditor is now saying, we're done with that, we're going to permit it, and we're moving on. It's no longer going to be considered an ethical violation, and so Neola is adapting our policies to fit that. Another one that ties with purchasing of products is, it is prior to the law now changing this policy, it is illegal to reimburse someone the cost of tax. So if someone would use or pay for cash, however, and buy something, and they pay $5 in taxes on a purchase and then submit a receipt to Mr. Panic for reimbursement, we'd reimburse them everything but the tax because it was illegal to do that. This policy basically allows that now. And I can't remember exactly which number that was at. I know it's in the 6,000s because that always deals with purchasing. But what we have allowed is for up to $500. Now, I can tell you we've never reached anywhere near that where someone's buying that much. Because we always generally are saying, look, let's put this on our MasterCard for the school, or let's put this on, the school Walmart card, or put it on, the Sam's Club card. And that is always accompanied with a nonprofit tax exempt form that we provide to the vendor. So, really minor change to us in the way we do business for the occasional purchase that doesn't fit how we typically do business. We will be in compliance because the state's going to permit those types of things. Other than that, a lot of these are changing because of, some of the state requirements with testing and transportation. Remember the whole thing we talked about where you can buy a 12-passenger van, but the federal government doesn't permit it. There's some policy changes for that as well. The Ohio High School Athletic Association is now allowing, name, image, likeness. So we have to have a policy for that. And lastly, there is that policy 6425 that's brand new. That's the one that deals with the tax exempt certificate where we put a threshold in there where we can pay taxes as reimbursement. So first reading means we wait another month before we pass the second reading. And if there's some recommended edits, we can always entertain that prior to the meeting. So when we come back, we can have an edited proposal for the board to finalize and pass. So.
Any questions? All right, Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mrs. Ansel?
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mr. Gamble?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is a recommendation that the board approve the following resolution. I'm not going to read through that, but with the way things have transpired in our current athletic league, I felt it would behoove us to officially pass a resolution explaining why we're changing leagues, and then certify it with Mr. Panic's signature this week and forward it on to the NAC, so that we knew we had the authority of our board behind our transfer. So with the passage of this, we've had this conversation about why we're doing it in the past. As the league is dissolving, we don't have a lot of options, but we want to put that formally into writing with your ratification in this resolution before you.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Ansel, second by Mr. Gamble. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Ansel?
Yes.
Mr. Gamble?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
And then the next resolution is a recommendation the board approve a resolution to adopt the NIST Cybersecurity Framework version 2.0 as the official cybersecurity program framework for LaBrae local schools, and then to authorize the implementation of it in accordance with Ohio House Bill 96. So as I noted to you in prior communications, this is something that we are required to do by state law, and then Neoman is coordinating that with FES, and for $5,000, we are going through that cybersecurity audit. And this resolution is provided by FES because they want, again, official board action, because the law requires us to adopt the framework. That's what our policy will require. So this resolution accomplishes that, and then we will certify this resolution, and Mr. Calderwood will, who's our lead point, he's our lead contact with the FES group as he works and leads us through that audit process. He'll provide a copy of the certified resolution to them so that they know that the board has officially acted and allowed us to move forward.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Ansel, second by Mr. Gibson. Any discussion? John, did you want to say anything about this, or? No. Just checking. Okay. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Ansel?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mr. Gamble?
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
And then the next item on the agenda is a recommendation the board enter an executive session for the following reasons. We have employee discipline, collective bargaining, and pending litigation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Ansel, second by Mrs. Shutt. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Ansel?
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mr. Gamble?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes, motion carries. We will not be taking any votes during executive session. We will come back in an open session if there's any items to vote on. We'll decide at that time. We'll take 5 minutes before we come back out, or before we start executive session. We'll take a short break. And thank everybody for attending. Okay, we're out of executive session. Meeting. Executive session ended at 8:18. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gamlin, second by Mrs. Shutt. Any discussion? Treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Gamlin?
Yes.
Mrs. Shutt?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mrs. Ansel?
Yes.
Mr. Sewell?
Yes, we are. Meeting adjourned. Vote was 5-0. Thank you very much for coming. Hanging around. I know it was a long one.